Everybody thinks that they're the smartest person in the room until the smartest person in the room steps in the room. And what I mean by that is regarding the QueenzFlip and Marc Lamont Hill situation. So, fun fact, I used to listen to Joe Budden every Thursday. I really think his episodes used to drop once a week every Thursday back in 2017, 18, back when he was still on the couch in Rory Mal Park's somebody's apartment. So he has definitely evolved, and he saw what a lot of people didn't see, and he just kept going, kept doing it, and boom, look at where he is today. One thing that you can't take away from Joe Budden is that he honed in on the craft that is podcasting, and he has really turned into a supreme businessman. And he, along with whoever else is helping him, they are propelling the Joe Budden podcast, the Joe Budden network forward, and they are advancing or moving with the times. This is kind of sort of along the same lines of the conversation around Memphis right now and gentrification evolving and growing. With everything that comes, with every good thing, there's always going to be somebody left behind, somebody left in the dust. And so with QueenzFlip flipping quite literally out on Marc Lamont Hill the other day, what we saw, the clip that went viral, is simply because Marc Lamont Hill knows his worth, knows his value. He knows what he brings to the Joe Budden podcast. And also, he's also very smart, very savvy when it comes to just that communication piece. You guys do know that he's an intellectual. He's very smart. He is an academic. He has written books, writing another book. Like, he can sit in a lot of rooms and, like, spew positivity, factual information, and still bring the connections and the communities together. On top of that, you have females, women. We like to listen to him. We like to hear him. There's no more. Like, Joe Budden has heard the cries. He has listened to the crowd. We are kind of sort of, I never listened to it, but just as the masses, we're no longer wanting to hear kitchen table talk on the radio in our ears. We don't want to hear barbershop lingo, barbershop chatter. Everything needs to kind of sort of be rooted in just like something factual, or people having good enough character within themselves to distinguish between if something's worth speaking on, and if you are going to speak on it, please have a well-rounded, thought out point that you're trying to prove. We can't continuously base things off of feelings. I feel this, or we're done with the feelings of things. And that's why I enjoy hearing Marc Lamont Hill. Like, Marc Lamont Hill kind of sort of is like pulling me back to the Joe Budden podcast, because I've not been a listener for years. And not to mention Mona. I like Mona. Sometimes I like Mona's critiques or takes. Sometimes I don't. But see, you're not going to agree with people every time. But she has a very sound mind, and her character is really good. She's not really too much flawed. And that's important when you're garnering an audience and support as large as the Joe Budden podcast. And so I think the main reason why QueenzFlip is like getting upset, because he's realizing that his time is up. There's always going to be like some part of the internet for him. There's a realm of the internet for him, but it's not going to be something where what Joe Budden's trying to take, where Joe Budden's trying to go with his podcast and his network, it's not going to be for the QueenzFlips of it. It's more, I hate to be elitist. Well, it's not even elitist, but it's like the difference between, I don't even want to make comparisons, but just QueenzFlip has his people. You know what I mean? It's like Love and Hip Hop versus the Real Housewives franchise. You know what I mean? Or Love and Hip Hop versus Now That's TV, or Now That's TV versus, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be an avenue for QueenzFlip, and there's going to be an avenue for Joe Budden and his network, because that's what it is. It's a network now. And so people who are more intellectual, who are readers, who want to tune in and get the real news and like real viewpoints of people that they look up to and they respect, that's Marc Lamont Hill. And that's where Joe Budden's trying to take his podcast. And I think that QueenzFlip and Ish and all them, they serve their purpose. As you can see with Melissa getting out of there. I was a proponent for Melissa being there, just because she was like the first woman that they invited on. And also, she knew when to leave. She knew when to get out. She knew when her time was up. And I think that the guys have to kind of sort of feel that. They don't have to necessarily not be cool with Joe anymore. They don't have to leave, and everything doesn't have to be like fall apart like Rory and Mal. But they need to kind of sort of bow out gracefully, because their time, just like with anything, all good things must come to an end, and then everybody should just move on to something great, and kind of sort of like take what you have done with the Joe Budden podcast and like transition it over to what you have to offer, which I know QueenzFlip has his own little thing going on YouTube, so he's not a nobody. But just like kind of don't be picking fights with men because they're smart or they use words that you're not used to, and it's definitely going to come off negative because you're not as well read as him. So it's going to come off like he's being condescending towards you, or like he's trying to make you feel less than, or like it's because you are. So what you have to do now is work on yourself and work on your knowledge of things, and work on your vocabulary to just become better so that you're not feeling inferior. And always remember that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So